Hello and welcome back to the Pharmaverse Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Pietrack. And if you're a leader or an aspiring leader in the pharmaceutical industry, well, then you are in the right place because we interview the best, the brightest stars from all the corners of the pharma universe. And today's guest certainly fits that description. But first, I should say that our podcast is powered by K. Bassman International, a leader in pharma and biotech recruiting. And also, we're sponsored by Executive Biotech Advisors, a trusted consulting resource in the biotech arena. Today's guest on the Pharmaverse is Raj Devraj, the president and CEO of Rectify Pharma, a platform company developing positive functional modulators. Raj has founded multiple successful biotech startups, and he's also a venture partner at Atlas Ventures. And he's bringing with him so many valuable insights. So Raj, welcome to the Pharmaverse.
Oh, thanks, Michael, and thanks to Pharmaverse for giving me the opportunity to talk about my experiences in pharma and biotech and really talk a little bit more about Rectify and what we're doing.
I thought maybe we could start there with Rectify. Do you mind telling us a little bit about what you're developing there?
What we are doing at Rectify, we are developing a class of oral small molecule therapeutics that we call as positive functional modulators, or PFMs for short. And these are molecules that have the ability to restore or enhance protein function. And that is sort of the main thrust of the company. Those are the therapeutics we're developing.
Well, I've been noticing that you guys have been attracting some really big names to Rectify. Seems like you're doing something right there. What has that meant for the business?
Extremely valuable. I mean, I can't say thanks more than give thanks to all our investors and all our team members and all our board members and all our scientific advisory board members to believe in the mission of Rectify, to stick with Rectify, to continue to work through a very challenging period, both externally in the market environment. We're going to talk a lot more about that, I'm sure, and also in de-risking the science, right? It is a platform, as I said, it's not a platform we're not making the 40th drug for something, or we are not increasing half-life of something. We are actually fundamentally trying to de-risk a brand new target, finding a brand new modality, optimizing it, and then matching it with a clinical indication that is of value to the industry, right? At the end of the day, who are our stakeholders? Patients, caregivers, and for investors, large pharma. We need an exit, right? For me also as a leader, you need an exit for the company. But the most important thing is the patient. So everything starts with unmet medical need. Is there an unmet medical need? Can we plug that unmet medical need? And are we able to drive the science, this platform, and the products that underlie the platform with vigor, good scientific vigor, and with capital efficiency?
Yeah.
And truth be told, it's not being very straightforward, right? It is managing a lot of those things and doing it well.
I liked what you were talking about, and we're going to get more to the end game of the whole thing in just a minute. But as a recruiter, I really want to know, is there some secret sauce that you have to attracting these really talented people? We had a guest on recently that said the best executives are talent magnets. Aside from the science, is there any secret you can share with us about attracting these high-level people?
What has helped me a lot is, if you see my career, I've usually found talent that has wanted to work with me again and again. Through large pharma, I've been able to attract those sort of people who have worked with me in large pharma, who have reported to me in large pharma, come back, work with me in biotechs time and time again. I think the most important thing is transparency.
Yeah.
Building trust, and taking a lot of time to develop relationships. Now, as a CEO, I spent an outsized amount of time trying to hire my C-level executives and perhaps the higher level management executives. And I spent a vigorous amount of time trying to develop those relationships. It takes time, number one. But two, I think what's as important for the person coming in is, do they see a long-term value proposition for them to sign on with the company? Two, do they believe that if they're reporting to me, I am a person who's going to provide them with significant development opportunities and still be able to challenge them? These are C-level executives. These are people coming with a lot of expectation. Am I able to do that? Having that partnership to really drive that and attract the top level talent. So as you can imagine, I'm spending a lot of time. I don't spend a lot of time with the junior level talent of the company just because of where I sit in this company. So I spend a lot of time hiring my C-level executives, and it takes a lot of time. I mean, we'll talk about what I look for in talent as we move along in our discussion. But three key things, right, in this current environment: resiliency, resiliency, resiliency. Three key things.
I'm stealing that for my team too, because it is a challenging time. We're going to get into it. But for those of the audience that want to keep an eye on Rectify, what is the next big milestone that you guys have?
We are moving our lead program to the clinic. And our lead program is for an indication called primary sclerosing cholangitis, a devastating rare liver disease. About 65,000 patients in the world with no approved treatment. Difficult disease. It's a biliary duct disease that leads to biliary fibrosis and then, of course, leads to liver failure as well. And we are working on a program. We're very close to nominating this program to the clinic. I expect that to happen very, very soon. So that's our most important milestone. And we have two other programs behind it, but we will talk about those in a little bit as we move along and de-risk them further.
Sure. Well, I'm so excited. We're all rooting for you. And but I want to get into your story a little bit because it's so fascinating, especially as an entrepreneur myself. So before leading Rectify, you successfully led Padlock Therapeutics and Disarm Therapeutics and sold those. We can get into that if you'd like. But how is the market different today than when you were leading those companies?
Oh boy, completely different. Completely different. Number one, Padlock Therapeutics was a single target company working on therapeutics, autoimmune for autoimmune diseases, RA, and others. Disarm Therapeutics was similar. We're working on a newly found enzyme for the treatment of neurodegenerative disorders, including ALS, both central as well as, and also peripheral neuropathies of all kinds. So different. At that time, we were able to raise far significantly lower amount of Series A capital. And that's again a single asset company and developed those forward. And we had very willing and able M&A targets, and we could access and get M&A done for those companies very early on. I've been very lucky that both the companies have been fully acquired by large pharma, Padlock by Bristol Myers Squibb, and Disarm by Eli Lilly preclinically, okay, at really good value and returns back to the shareholders.
I didn't realize it was in the preclinical stage that all happened.
Both were preclinical,
Wow.
and they did extremely well for the investors who were involved. Rectify is a different story, right? We raised Rectify money for Rectify in September 2021, and then have been building the company ever since. So really looking forward to the first inflection clinical milestone for the company, which I said is going to be for PSC.
I love the names of these companies too. Rectify, Padlock, Disarm. Were you involved in the names of these?
Yes, of course. I was involved in naming all these companies. I've been involved with some other companies. I like to tell the story that not all companies, success has many fathers, failures has none, as they say. And one of the things that I'm quick to point out that, there are a lot of companies that have not succeeded, and I've been involved in a couple of those as well. They have, but not to the extent that we would have liked, right? But those are also part of the trials and tribulations as an entrepreneur in biotech and going through this roller coaster ride. That makes you a stronger leader and makes you more resilient anyway. So
yeah, that makes sense. And but as far as entrepreneurs go, your batting average is pretty high. It's a Hall of Fame batting average. So you must be doing something right. That's right.
Fingers crossed.
I hear you. I
Okay.
hear you. Well, so speaking of names, I have a fascination with people's names. And
Sure.
have you looked up the meaning of your name? It's really incredible.
Oh, jeez, you don't want to ask me this. Really? It's I'm going to get very embarrassed.
Come on.
You Rajesh means king.
Yep.
Raja, king,
Yep.
right? And Devraj, again, it's a rhyming, Raj Devraj, but Devraj is basically a Hindu god called Indra, who is the god of thunder, right?
Oh.
So it's just a family name that's probably, I don't know, 1,000 years old that came through from generation to generation. So that's where we are with the name.
Well, I have 3 daughters, so naming them was a really important thing because people kind of become their names. And so I wanted to ask you, is it sort of the same with companies when you're naming these companies? They almost become sort of their own person with this name?
That's a fascinating question. No one's asked me that. That's a good question. Yes, actually, looking back, I'm replaying these on my mind. Indelo Therapeutics, Antigrin Therapeutics, Padlock, Disarm, Sail Bio, Rectify. These are all sort of take on their own personalities. Of course, the personalities that they take on also depends a lot in the leadership of the company, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, but true, absolutely.
Yeah, it's sort of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, it's like this unlocked this and this will rectify that, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
The Pharmaverse podcast is a leadership podcast. So I want to switch into your leadership ability because you've already mentioned leading the C-suite people, but we all know that this industry is chaos. And you talked about resiliency. What advice would you give to other leaders who are trying to lead through all this chaos right now?
Yeah, I think these you make some pretty important points here, Michael. I think let me sort of step through a few things that I think is critical. Probably the number one thing in this day and age, especially managing chaos and managing uncertainty, is to maintain very clear focus. So an ability to prioritize the most critical projects and set objectives are going to be very critical. Number one. Number two, keeping teams very aligned on a mission and avoiding getting sidetracked by peripheral issues is going to be critical. I think the second one is probably fostering open communication and dialogue. I think having transparent discussion and providing regular updates to your stakeholders, which includes your investors, your board, and your complete company, right? Your management team and your company is going to be critical. I think what I've seen is it reduces uncertainty and continues to build trust, right? Third is adaptability and flexibility, right? I think the ability to pivot quickly in response to new data is one of the most important things that a biotech executive can do. How can you efficiently pivot and quickly pivot in response to either a new obstacle, a new issue, or new information that's a good information? And that's where I think I come back to this that promoting a mindset of resilience and continuous learning on part of the senior team and the rest of the company is going to be critical to be able to adapt and be flexible in these trying times, right?
Yeah.
I think I would say the fourth one is cultivating resilience. Again,
Yeah.
I think it's very important to support the teams, right? And managing stress and maintaining morale. So rapidly recognizing achievements and providing resources for people who might feel the stress of just continuing to grind and delivering and executing is going to be critical, which then leads to me, one of the most important things is scenario planning.
Oh.
You got to be able to prepare for multiple potential futures with contingency plans. This is critical. I've seen teams and companies struggle with this. I think the ability to have very transparent and honest communication with the senior management team and the board about future scenarios. What are the future scenarios? How do we plan for that? How do we risk mitigate? I got to exhibit decisive leadership while understanding that there are multiple concerns that the teams might bring about, right? I think authentic leadership is balanced leadership and hopefully inspires confidence with the teams. So that's where I'll leave it.
So much rich content there. Thank you for sharing all that. I want to get just a tad granular about that. I love that contingent plans for different scenarios. Is that a process that you go through? Can you just walk us through what you do there?
Yeah, we do. We continuously assess the risks for a program. I am a very rapid mental model developer. I have over 30 years in this business. Have pattern recognition that I've developed over a period of time, with hard knocks and with success, both, right? Multiple hard knocks and success. And that sort of mental model and framework that I keep in my mind is important. As soon as I look at a program or some data inflection point, I usually get through the Eisenhower matrix. Very simple. Four matrix, 4-quadrant,
Wow.
Urgent and important. Very quickly, in my mental model, I'm starting to frame things very quickly. And I have made a position in my mind. What I've learned as a leader over a period of time is not to speak that very early in the process, especially when you're a CEO. I think that's something that I constantly struggle with. I come to decisions very quickly because I'm a pattern recognition sort of decision maker, and allowing others to have the chance to hear the entire logic train from A to B to C to D to E to F. Whereas me, I could go from A to D, come back to B, and then go to F.
Yep.
It's just sort of different. Situational leadership is something that I've developed over a period of time.
Those are great insights. And as I was looking at your background and getting to know your background a little bit better, you have a big pharma experience, you have a startup experience, multiple startup experiences. And we recently had a guest that talked about big pharma CEOs or executives moving to small pharma. What advice would you give to someone who's about to make that transition?
Number one is flexibility and willingness to learn new skills.
Okay.
So an ability to do tasks outside of your traditional role that you had in large pharma is very critical. Okay. That is number one. Two, embracing resource constraints are very important.
Yeah.
Number three, preparing for a much faster and a much more agile environment. Those are probably the top three that come to mind. And behaviorally, I think what it means to talent that moves over from large pharma to biotech. I've seen people who succeed very well in biotech are those people who have higher risk tolerance and are able to embrace uncertainty. Because remember, pivots are common.
Yeah.
Aggressive timelines need to be managed that we need to prepare for, and preparing your team for them, right? And last but not least is to develop a very thick skin. That's going to be critical.
Why is that?
I think, investors have a set amount of expectations. Boards have a set amount of expectations. Your boss will have a set amount of expectation. You're doing far more in much shorter period of time with much less money than you're used to.
Yeah.
Correct? So you really need to be able to sort of accommodate that amount of tolerance of risk. People get very worried. It's a first time thing, and getting into a board or an investor set where you're just going to be maybe have people just giving you feedback in bluntly or these are things that you need to be able to adapt to. It's not coming from any personal thing. It's just it's business.
It's like taking your idea into the Shark Tank. You better be ready for some Someone to tell you what they think, you know?
I think those are, to me, sort of the key things. I think be ready to sweep the floor. I hate to use that acronym, but you know what I
Yeah, we
mean,
get you.
right? Be able to do the small things required to be in biotech and be an entrepreneur. Those are the things that get you noticed.
Yeah.
Not easy for a lot of people.
Oh, no. And that's why it takes a really special individual to be a small company CEO or even a small company executive. A lot of the people that watch our show are they're aspiring leaders. They want to get into leadership. So they're gaining this advice so that they can be successful in that.
Mm.
When I think back to my first leadership role, I was a disaster. What advice would you give either to a first-time leader or to yourself when you were leading for the first time, if you can go back in time?
I would say the first thing for a first-time leader is to shift your mind frame from doing to enabling.
Yes.
Not easy for a lot of people. I think it comes with a few hard knocks. I think when you have been an individual contributor and you have not managed people, you're so used to doing stuff on your own and solving problems on your own that you don't have develop the emotional skills and the relationship building skills to build trust with people. You got any foundation of getting work done through people is based on a plank of solid relationship. If that is not there, no one's going to believe you that you're not doing this. You're doing this for yourself and you don't have their best interests in heart. They're putting their time, money, sweat, equity into doing things for you and for the company. What are you going to do back for them? Are you developing them? So have one-on-ones. Even if it is hard for you, I'm a people person. I'm an extroverted people person. You can tell from the hands that
Notice it.
no. That doesn't mean all leaders are not created equal.
Yeah.
But develop those skills and those instincts to do three things. Number one, have regular one-on-ones. Two, build an emotional bond with the person you're speaking with and that you're working with and that you're depending on to get work done. Treat them with respect, admiration, and gratitude. C, give real-time feedback. Do not wait for, cycles, quarterly or half year. I know HR processes require you to write long documents and everything. I think they become more formal in nature. I think an informal and rapid amount of feedback that you give to people is really valuable. It helps them grow. And give feedback when things are going good.
Yep.
Celebrate successes, and forgive experiments that are well planned, but the data doesn't flow your way. Celebrate them as well. Talk about it and celebrate them. So
great content. We're up on the time that we have for the episode, but I could talk to you for a whole nother hour about this stuff. I know I speak for everyone in the Pharmaverse when I say thank you for your time and your insights and that we're all rooting for Rectify. So thanks for being a guest on the Pharmaverse.
Oh, thank you, Michael. I will welcome all good wishes and all good tantra to come my way. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, that's a wrap on today's episode of the Pharmaverse. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the upcoming insights that we have on leadership. And again, thanks for tuning in.